as you could probably read through the lines here, we don't collect money up front. I have no problem with agents collecting money up front. The problem becomes the vast majority of your clients won't have the means in which to pay out of pocket up front, or they will be stressed out by it. And there's some other issues that will happen, and I'll explain here in a second. But the simple solution is to treat this business as a whole. Again, there are exceptions, but as a whole, as a buy now, pay later type of business. We get them bought on the coverage, we get it all wrapped up, and we set up the draft to time around the next premium or the next check that they receive on their account from Social Security. Now, wait a minute, Dave, does that mean my client's not covered until the first payment? That's correct. If you'll listen to the scripting, you'll hear me say routinely in the scripting, after the policy, after the first payment, you're fully covered. You never lose your coverage due to age or health. You'll notice I say several times, when we get the first payment or after the first payment's done, you're fully effective, right? So that's intentional, because I don't want to mislead my client and think, oh, you're covered today. And if there was some evidence of that and they died before the first premium, that could be an errors and omissions claim. Extreme example, probably wouldn't happen, but nevertheless, I make sure my clients understand that we're going to get you approved today, and we're just going to start it when the first payment comes out. And the problem that all of our prospects tend to have is problems with money. They're just not that good with it, okay? And math is not their strong suit. And anytime you try to complicate what should be simple, you run into problems keeping the business. Let me explain how I mean. So let's say, perfect example, Mildred gets paid on March the 3rd. The next month, she gets paid on the 3rd. We write her today for coverage. You don't take yours truly's advice and you take the money today. And the draft ends up coming out a couple of days later, because usually these things are slow with the carrier. So they get a draft maybe by the 17th or 18th. The payment, the recurring payment, comes out on the 3rd of the month, right? Just like we set up. How do you think the client's going to react to that? Going to be completely fine, have no problems? What's going to happen the majority of the time? Dave, what the hell's going on here? You took my money on the 19th and it's the 3rd and you took it again. Is this a scam? And, they don't even ask that. They just assume this by this point. Like, why would they take my money so quickly? And again, this is the problem when we take the simple and make it complex. What you'll do in the presentation, and maybe you'll try to preempt it. So, Mrs. Jones, here's what's going to happen. We're going to take your money up front, and it's going to be for the full month. But then we're going to set up the next payment that come out on the 3rd of the month. Well, Dave, that's 2 weeks later. Well, yeah, we're kind of paying in advance for the month of April, paying it today. And then the next 3rd of the month, that will pay for in advance the following kind of couple of weeks. And you're going to start to lose them. I'm even losing me explaining it to them. But what they'll remember is, why was I drafted so soon? And why can't you just draft my account a month after today? Now we're in a position where we're starting to draft the client well outside of our protocol of hitting their account on the exact day they get their money every month. So if they get it on the 3rd and Mildred insists to set it up for the 15th in March, guess who might run into more often billing issues than if I had just set it up and waited to take the first premium? The guy who does that. Because the further you are out from the collection of the premium, from the day they receive their check, the more likely you're going to lose the money. It is a race to the ATM with your prospects. Please understand that. You have to beat them to the ATM before they take all their money out. And again, it's an extreme example. Not everybody does that, but some do. And you've got to take that cash before they take it. And what this does is it increases tremendously the quality of your business, because simply put, our clients just aren't good with money and they forget about this stuff. And then you try to reverse it and they can't double pay to catch back up, or they can't pay the payment a week or two later because they pulled all their money out and blew it all. So the better course of action is just to say, unless the client is absolutely persistent, I say, here's how it works. It's very simple. We just set your premium to come up on your next paycheck. So that's the 3rd of the month, right? So that's when the policy go into effect. You're fully covered at that point. So upon the first payment, you've got peace of mind, you're covered. So we're going to set it up for that. I don't ever invite them to pay me today, because what will happen basically is, everything else I described. It's just a giant nightmare that you have to try to unravel.